I'd like to call the town board meeting of the town of Lake Mills to order. The first order of business is the notice of a public hearing. Notice is hereby given by the town board of the town of Lake Mills, Wisconsin, that a public hearing will be held on the 11th of February 2020 at the town hall at 1111 South Main, Lake Mills, Wisconsin at 8 p.m. to consider the proposed amendment to the meetings ordinance to change the monthly meeting time from 8 p.m. to 7 p.m. The town board will consider the request at the monthly board meeting directly following the adjournment of the public hearing. A draft of the proposed ordinance can be found on the town's website under Ordinances-1-3 Meetings. All persons wishing to be heard are invited to be present. Town of Lake Mills, Town Clerk Robin Unz, posted and published January 31st, 2020. So I hereby call the public meeting to order, or the public hearing to order. Are there any comments?
I'll just state that there was an email that came from Mike Hellickson, which I forwarded to the board members, stating that he was in favor of changing the day of the meeting from, rather than keeping it on Tuesdays because of the conflict of the 7 o'clock with county meetings.
Who was that?
That Mike Hellickson, I think is how you pronounce the name.
We've always had it on Tuesday. 50, forever. Forever. And county boards always had their, that's right.
Long time.
And it's never been a problem, as far as I'm concerned.
I'll just call it 3 times for
Yep.
comments.
Are there any other comments? David, you want to say anything?
No.
I think we are kind of in the groove here, and I do not see that we have a problem with those conflictual times between the county board and the town of Lake Mills. That would be my opinion. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Any other testimony? Anyone else willing to speak? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the meeting?
Closing the public.
I would close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, the public hearing is closed.
Right.
Thank you. Now, I will call the town board meeting to order. Notice was published at the town hall and also on the town's website. Item 2 on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda as published.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the agenda as published? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda as posted? Please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. The agenda is carried. Item 3, approval of the minutes of our January meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as printed for
Second.
January.
Second.
Is there any discussion on these minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes from the January 10th, 14th meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Minutes are carried. Item 4, approval of the treasurer's report.
Do we have to make a motion to amend the January's
I guess you're right.
disbursements first? Okay, I'll make a motion to amend the January 2020 disbursements. They need to be amended from $2,123,119.97 to $2,123,673.69. There was an error. Sanft County didn't notify us that there would be withdrawing $553.72 from the employee annual federal unemployment from Form 940 in January till late.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Now we'll entertain the February 2020 treasurer's report. Is there a motion to accept the treasurer's report as published?
I will make that a motion.
Second.
Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the February 2020 treasurer's report, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Treasurer's report is accepted, and thank you, Sharon. I know you've had a busy month. Item 5, approval of the general funding vouching. Is there a motion to accept the vouching?
I'll make a motion to approve February's disbursements of $1,768,204.35.
I would second that motion.
Is there any discussion or questions?
The only question I had was there's one here for blowing the leaves out of a ditch. Northwest Services
Yeah.
blowing leaves out of the ditch on Lake Lane, $385.
So I made that decision about removing the leaves from the ditch that we had just reconstructed on Lake Lane so that they would not clog the culvert on the way down. Wet fall, Ron took his blower, some kind of super blower, and blew it out and got rid of those leaves that were laying there in the ditch. Still have a continuing problem along Lake Lane with people using that as a dump site for their yard waste, so.
Oh, nice. So they just blow them out of the ditch and then
Yep.
they just blew away the
Up
wind?
into the town park.
All right, that's the only thing I saw there.
Not in the business of raking leaves, but seemed prudent at the time. All in favor of accepting the disbursements as published, please say aye. Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Item 6, reports. A, Police Department report, Chief Matt Miller.
For the month of January, we had 44 hours of road patrol, two complaints. Spent 7 hours out of the 44 hours handling those complaints. Handled a traffic crash. Had 21 traffic stops, 3 repair notices, 11 traffic warnings, 11 traffic citations. We spent 10 hours on running stationary radar out of those 44 hours. We did 3 resident checks and 7 park checks. Other than that, not a whole lot going on.
Thanks, Matt. Anybody have any questions for Matt? Hearing none. Item B, the Joint Rock Lake Committee report. We have 2 letters that we decided would be prudent to be read at this time. Coming from the Joint Rock Lake Committee to the City Council President and Town Chairman, the Joint Rock Lake Committee would like to take this opportunity to provide to you and your council or board with an update on our recent activities, our plans for 2020, and to your request for your input into what you would like us to do to support the city and town in our capacity as your joint committee. The following items were accomplished in 19. 1, updated the regulations of water, traffic, boating, and water sports. 2, shared with the city the differences between the city and town regulations. 3, updated the regulation of piers, wharves, mooring buoys, and swimming rafts. 4, developed a regulation of traffic on icebound waters of Rock Lake. 5, developed boating safety tips to be placed on websites. 6, identified common boating violations as reported by the DNR and the Boat Patrol. 7, worked with the city on beach water testing and signage at the beaches. Held a presentation by Mead and Hunt at the Sandy Beach Project. 9, conducted an annual boat tour and identified misplaced navigational buoys and violations of zoning and pier ordinances. 10, participated in RLIA's development and implementation of the Rock Lake Plan. 11, met with the town boat patrol on a number of hours and violations in 19. Discussed with the Park District the encroachment of Woodland Resorts swimming area into Sandy Beach's east swim area. Held a meeting on Pie Association's new pier. Our committee identified the following items that we would like to discuss in 2020. Number 1, write an article on DNR fish surveys and what they mean for the lake. Number 2, find a suitable location for a special needs kayak and canoe launch area. Add language to the swim raft ordinance to address the proliferation of floating mats. Item 4, study adverse effects to lake from detrimental shoreline practices, retaining walls, reduced impervious surfaces, removal of plants and trees along the shoreline, and construction erosion. Number 5, look at pier regulation compliance or lack thereof. Item 6, research extending slow no wake to 200 from 100 feet. Item 7, work with the city and town of Lake Mills on lake management plan recommendations. A, water quality, to promote the best conservation practices on agricultural lands, ensure enforcement of current construction site erosion laws, city and town to work together on new shared composting area, continue to reduce delivery of pollutants from our streets. In the short term, reduce use of salt and sand mixture on roads, town. Long-term, modernize approach to snow and ice removal, town. Item B, habitat. Continue Clean Boats, Clean Waters program. Hold public comment session on mill pond dredging, city. Explore navigational buoy placement to protect sensitive areas, town. Item C, recreation. Follow DNR and EPA protocols for posting beach water advisories. Pay to expedite water quality sample shipping fees when beaches are closed. Excuse me. Explore ways to prevent dog waste from entering the lake. Ensure no adverse effect on Sandy Beach development, city. Add invasive species boat cleaning stations to all launches. Item D, water quality sampling. Measure the health of lakes and streams to track trends and identify pollutants. Item E, education, achieve a more knowledgeable public on lake issues. This is a partial listing of the recommendations and entities involved in implementation of the lake management plan. The full Rock Lake Management Plan with a complete list of recommendations and partners was provided to you earlier and can be found on the Rock Lake Improvement website. As a committee formed by both the city and town, we reach out to you and the entire city council and town board for suggestions and guidance in excuse me, what we could do to support your concerns and interests. We thank you for your guidance, respectively. The Joint Rock Lake Committee, Stan Smaneski, Glenn Zastro, Robert Volnek, Wes Dawson. A copy was sent both to Misty Quest and to Robin here in the town. The next letter is from the Rock Lake Improvement Association, and I will sum this up. They have written to us in March of last year, supporting the Joint Rock Lakes Committee's agenda, which adds cleaning stations to all the boat launches. The Rock Lake Improvement Association has additionally provided up to $2,000 for aquatic invasive species removal stations. Recent cost studies suggest that $2,000 that the RLIA is willing to commit will pay for the cost of signage and tools for all 5 locations. The cost of each sign is approximately $180, and the tools about $70. Attached is information on where the signs and the tools may be obtained. We know that the city is considering moving the Sandy Beach launch further to the west, but given the mobility of the signage, we feel that the station is placed at the current site and can be easily moved to the new boat launch. RLIA would again like to take this opportunity before the boating season begins again to contribute $2,000 for cleaning stations at the city and the boat launches. This is respectfully signed by Wes Dawson, and a copy of their former letter and where they'd like to purchase the tools. How about that?
Cool.
I'm going to tell these guys at Joint Rock Lake to prioritize their ideas. Obviously.
Any ideas on locations for a wash station?
Well, I think what they're looking at is a very rudimentary cleaning station, which includes signage and tools to remove aquatic plants. There's no water, there's no chemical, there's no...
No pressure washers.
No pressure washer, no water available at most sites.
Oh, I know. That's what I was wondering.
So it's
Okay.
mostly tools.
Okay.
I guess we can take that under consideration. We're a few months out of the boating season. I do appreciate those guys spending the time looking at what they're doing and how they're implementing the lake plan, if they need to prioritize a little bit for us. Anybody else have any comments? Moving right on. The Planning Commission report, Supervisor Hines.
We discussed the, changing the time of the Plan Commission from 8 to 7 also. And there was some drawback on that from Mr. Batiste and Steve Nass a little bit. They get involved, Nass gets involved in sports, football in the fall with Waterloo. And of course, Ms. Batiste, still a dairy farmer. So he had a little issue with that. So rather than actually put a time in there, they would like to consider the old language be crossed out, or that time, and insert the time to be determined by the Plan Commission. So leave it open, so that different times of the year, a month in advance, they could say, well, I'm gonna be in the fields during the summer, so I make them 8 o'clock and stuff like that. So we don't want a specific time. And I guess that was in their minutes.
Yes.
So you have those, so. And then, the other thing was the request that any changes in documents that there's looking at to revise. This one just had the new time put in and then bolded. They would like the old language to be left in there with a line striking through it and then the new language bolded. And then, as far as we discussed the boundary, starting to look at the boundary agreement with the city of Lake Mills, and they want the town or town chairperson or a designee to meet with the city before they start looking into that to see if there's interest from the city side to even extend it. So before they start looking at it, we want to confirm that the city's willing to sit down and negotiate another 20 years. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Item D, Cambridge Fire Commission report, Supervisor Schrader.
Meeting with the commissioners January 22nd. It was on new business. We moved to increase the rates from $25 to $100 for different services that are used for the EMTs and the ambulances. So depending on what the category is, you know, if it was out of state, it was another $100 or $100 increase. So residents are a little more forgiving there. Financially, we are actually ended up our year pretty good. We ended up with let's see, what was it, around $46,000 over for cash applied. So what we did is, because of kind of when the fire truck was purchased, we drained that fire department equipment fund. We drained it to zero, so we put that leftover money from 2019's budget into that reserve. Let's see what else. Majority of the night was spent on this needs assessment for the possible new fire station. I have a meeting with that architect on the 27th of February. We kind of went through this whole thing to find out, you know, what you can cut out of it and what has to be expanded upon. But it looks like, just to kind of warm everybody up to it, is on the low end about 4 million, middle range 7 to 7.5 million, a high end about 15 million. So, and obviously we're not going to do a $15 million building, but that's kind of where that sets.
Well, why not? The county has one.
Well, yeah, but
Come on.
it's needs assessment, so we'll see what happens. But the other thing is, I mentioned, I think it was a couple months ago, that there is a bill that is in the capital right now. It's SB 472 that would allow municipalities that are in a joint EMS fire service to be able to exempt us from the local levy limits, so as emergency services continue to rise, then we would be able to raise the levy limits to cover it, so, I don't know if you know about that too.
Yeah, I just found out.
Yeah, so, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because we know it's expensive. Other than that, that was really kind of about it, I guess.
Thank you, David, for your service.
Did you wanna look at this, that's the needs assessment?
Sure. So you're gonna leave that available here?
Yeah,
We have an election coming up. Maybe someone would like to look it over. I think we probably as a board would like to look it over. And just leave it here and,
I would not necessarily want people hanging around to look at that unless I can have them go into the office or something, just because it is an election. Is there a way of getting that a digital copy and putting it on the website or something?
I would have to ask.
Okay.
okay, do that. In the meantime, did you read it?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun
No.
discussing it.
You wanna look at it, Jim?
Sure. It's really just a bunch of stuff.
That's why most
It really
studies are.
gets into it
How
because
most
one guy's
studies are.
office was 13 square feet bigger than the others, and then it's like, it was a fun evening, trust me.
Okay, moving on. Period of public comment and questions about anything that is not upon our agenda this evening. Anyone would like to speak to the board? Hearing none, moving on to item 8, review of applications filed. Item A, discussion and decision on a request by Ragnar Events LLC for the Ragnar Great Midwest 2020 Relay Race, special event on May 16th, 2020.
And we have now received the check as well as the certificate of insurance, which was what we were sort of holding up on, so.
Okay,
I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the Ragnar event for May 16th, 2020, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Item B, discussion and decision on a request by Race Day Events LLC for the Lake Mills Triathlon, a special event on June 7th, 2020. We have the paperwork and the insurance certificate from them, Robin.
Yep, and I believe we have the payment as well.
All right, I would make a motion to approve special event permit for Race Day Events for the Lake Mills Triathlon.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
This is a bike ride too, right? This
It's
is-
a
yeah,
swim,
it's-
a bike ride,
And
and a run.
Well, after last year's, the last bike ride through the town, we got complaints that the people ride four aside, they take up a whole lane, they don't move over for cars. Is it gonna be, these people don't show up when they have these requests in here, I guess. This one's actually a race then too, right? So they will be,
Yes, the triathlon is
so
competitive.
they won't want to be moving over for cars again. Is that correct?
It's always a problem. Absolutely.
I just mentioned that to my dad because when we're trying to go down Newville Road with farm equipment and they come down 5-6 over the hill,
Yeah,
it's dangerous.
that one's coming up, truck is next.
Yeah, the bigger one.
Yep.
Well, they aren't very courteous, and I don't know if they need
They're
to be,
not.
but, they kind of feel they own the road that day.
So how do you want to handle this?
Well, I would like to have these people here. So you
Show up?
could express that to them. No, it's okay, but or somehow get them the message that they gotta be a little more cooperative with cars and stuff, or they're not gonna be using the town of Lake Mills anymore, period.
Was it this particular event that was an issue last year? Do you remember?
Any bike ride where they're
any
riding
Any bike
bikes.
ride, right?
Yeah.
Well, and Ragnar's no better, they're no better.
with the
They're all
vans
over the
and all that
road.
stuff.
They're everywhere. Well, maybe we should develop a letter to send back to them that asks them for cooperation in that. I mean, we have these repeat people every year.
Yeah, I know.
What do you think about that, Matt?
Well, it's always an issue. I mean, we have officers out there, we try to stop them and push them over as best we can.
Yeah.
I mean, the next thing is we can stop and start issuing tickets, if that's what it comes down to.
I don't want to do
We
that.
try to avoid it. as
Let's
much
try
as
to
we
be
can.
proactive and send a letter to the participants and say, state what our problem is, and,
And I know the race coordinators do give a briefing about what they're supposed to do and can't do.
They can't control them when they're out there, though.
Right, that's correct, but they do, I know, at least for the Tyrena, the road rides, and do.
well, let's develop a letter that we can send back to them. How do we communicate with them? We send this to them, right?
Right, we could
Their
put it,
permit.
we have a spot on here for special conditions or requirements, and we could write that information in there on this copy and highlight it to them, or we could do a more formal letter.
What do you think's gonna be more effective?
I guess in a letter, as long as they know that they don't, the road is not closed for the race. You know
Okay.
what I mean? It's not a
Right.
closed road. They're authorized to operate the road within the laws and statutes. But the road is not closed where it's just for their event where we're blocking the roads.
Why don't I work on that letter and clear that with you, and then we'll do that when we send these back. I think that would be prudent.
Isn't it already listed in our ordinance for special events that they
Yes.
need to follow the rules of the road?
Yes, yes. But I think we need to remind them, don't you?
I think it's even on this application, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I just think we need to reiterate that somehow, so that they understand. Otherwise, it's gonna go crazy all the time. All right, where were we at here?
Let's call a question.
You need to call a question on this.
On the Ragnar event, item A?
On the Lake
No.
Mills
The
Triathlon.
Lake Mills Triathlon. So we have a motion on the floor. Would, let's see, what do we say? I call the question, and, all in favor of approving the Race Day Events LLC for the Lake Mills Triathlon, please say aye. Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Item C, discussion and decision on a request made by the MAC Fund for the Trek 100 special event bike ride to be held on June 6th, 2020. Both those events are on the same day, or on the same weekend.
No, Colleen was going to be here, and I got an email this afternoon, she's got a sick child. So she did plan on being here, and she just couldn't make it tonight. So if we have questions, I've got her phone number.
I would motion to approve the MAC Trek 100 special bike ride event on June 6th.
Second,
Is there any discussion?
same issue, send them a letter.
All right,
Yeah, well, it's not directly about that, it's actually about the Ragnar when you're done with this.
all right. So we have a motion on the floor. All in favor of approving the MAC Trek 100 bike ride, please say aye. Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. I will, as the chair, draft a letter to be enclosed with their permits so that they have fair warning that we are not going to tolerate mass groups of bicyclists. They need to be yielding to traffic and following the statutes. And I'll run that by you, Matt, before we send it out, okay? All right. Dave, go ahead.
Just about the Ragnar, I just want to verify and make sure that they are utilizing people that are licensed from the state of Wisconsin, and that they have to follow a plan. They cannot just go and do this stuff on their own, and because it's a misrepresentation of your jurisdiction. If somebody does get hurt, something does happen, and there's not a state licensed EMT or hire that's taking care of them, and the party tends to have a tendency to do that. It's not just a problem here, it's a problem all the way into Waukesha, which I've provided services for the Ragnar now for years, between here all the way through Waukesha County. They've got to have approvals with my myself or either Chief DeAndre.
No way of capturing that information.
Yeah, how would we ever know if they've done
That's
that?
that's the problem. They've been able to keep it under the radar, and if somebody gets hurt and something liability comes back, then that's when they would get you guys involved and wonder, well, why are they, you know,
I know
why
there's,
are we using unlicensed people that you guys haven't approved of as a government? So I want to make sure that that gets addressed.
Unlicensed personnel supervising medical,
Yes, any kind of medical supervision has to, we need to have some notification because there's gotta be a communication system on how that's gonna work. Just because somebody's an RM doesn't give them the right to go and start doing whatever. And if they do, they have to have a plan for it, so.
do you know if they're obtaining permits from the city of Lake Mills similar to ours?
That I don't know.
Cause aren't they gonna camp down by you anyway, out in Selgin's lawn or something?
Are they still doing that?
Yes.
Yeah, according to
That's the way they
paperwork.
have been.
I would assume they would be getting, I think they've gotten the permits from the city in the past.
Okay, we'll check on that. Thank you. for
Cause
your-
that's where, you know, Todd could get involved and
Right.
you know, for the city.
I'm just sharing it with you because it's
Yeah.
also in your jurisdiction.
Something I never thought about, I guess. I never did.
Thank you for your input, Dave.
Yeah.
Item 9, old business. A, discussion and decision on repairs for the North End Pier. You saw in our invoices tonight an invoice for $2,652 for the bumpers that were spec'd for the North End Pier. That money is coming out of the Joint Rock Lake account for repair of those piers. The County Parks Department asked if we would not foot the bill on those, so they would not have to put that through their financial system, and I agreed to that. I have been down to visit the piers. They are under construction, looking pretty good. We went down on Lake Koshkonong and looked at this set of bumpers. I took Wes with me, and we agreed that this would be a good solution for the north end. So we're essentially gonna have brand-new piers at the north end that have been refurbished. I will be working with our pier placement people to make sure that they're not damaged as they place them in and out of the water in the future. Hopefully that'll all be done before spring. There will be other costs, but the labor for that is basically being borne by the County Parks Department. Yippee hooray. Item B, discussion and decision on storage for town records, supplies, and equipment. Matt, I know you got a little input here.
I did get a hold of the gentleman that owns the storage facilities on Sandy Beach Road. He had one garage open and that was it, and that was gonna be picked up quickly. That's obviously not even anywhere near big enough for the equipment that we have. So that's where that is, for that storage over there in Sandy Beach Road.
So we're gonna still continue to pursue other items or other areas to do some storage because we've got to make some decisions about this. Moving on, item C, discussion and decision on adoption of Town Ordinance 1-3 meetings. This is the amendment to change the monthly town board meeting from 8 to 7 p.m. I would make a motion to adjust the Town Ordinance 1-3 meetings to reflect a meeting time start of 7 p.m.
I'll second the motion.
I guess I'd take it a little further. I'd say I like our meeting date as it is. As you stated earlier in the public hearing, we've never really had a conflict with county board meeting nights. I guess we're pretty fortunate to have our county board representative from our area also serving on our town planning committee, so we get a little special attention. But I don't think we have a conflict between the county board and the town board. And should there ever be, I think this body would be very amenable to a change so that anyone could address us or bring their grievances or information to us. That's my motion.
I'll second
blah,
that.
blah, 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 blah.
Or was that your,
Yeah, to move the meeting time from 8 PM to 7 PM, keeping it on the second Tuesday of the month.
got it.
Is there a second?
Jim already
I already
did.
did.
All right. Is there any more discussion?
You were gonna rework the order of business too, right, Robin?
In your copies I gave you tonight is the final draft of it, and I did put the public comment up where it should be in the order.
You got a new one?
It's got the hole punched on both sides.
Oh,
Okay,
I, oops, on which side?
all right.
okay. Oh, that's nice.
Right there.
Punched on both sides,
Yeah.
okay.
I had it facing the wrong way when I did that. That's supposed to go in your ordinance book as your
Yes,
copies.
I understand. So is there any discussion or anyone from the floor want to say anything about our meeting time? All right, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor of approving it, please say aye. Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Town ordinance 1-3 is passed. Item 10, new business. A, discussion and decision on ATV signage. Welcome, Orcotts. I guess I asked you guys to come here because I have a little bit of a pain with what you were doing, and my little bit of a pain is just that we need to record these signs. We need to make sure that we understand where they are and that they are recorded and that their reflectivity is recorded in our sign program, which is something that the county does for us. I've had many discussions with County Highway Department about where we should be placing these signs. You guys have already put something together. I don't know where you come from when you think that you can travel on County Highway V, even where you understand the city and the town boundaries are. I guess the vibe I'm getting is the county does not want ATV traffic in the area of County Highway V or County Highway B in the town of Lake Mills. So I guess that's my charge to you. If we're going to share posts on any signs, they need to be town posts, not county posts, and we'll need to record that. And if there are other posts that you need to put in or purchase, then you'll need to do the locates and you'll need to have that done or pay the county to do that. There will be some time when we have those all installed that we'll ask the county to go out and do the reflectivity and the assignment of where they are, so that we have that in our big picture sign program.
So I guess the comment on you saying Highway B and Highway V, according to the state statute of Wisconsin, on the ATV usage, if it's a county road that is within the township, underneath 35 miles an hour, it's automatically brought into, it's already been adopted by the state that that road is acceptable. And that's why I went to the city and asked them, where is the boundaries where the township stops and the city starts? And the city manager said, it's at the intersection of the property of Pizza Pit and BP. He said, that's as far as you guys can go. So after talking to Mr. Wilkie, I said, okay, well, that is shared road all the way through, and it says if it's a shared roadway within the township that's approved a road of the county, under 35, it's automatically added. And so I don't know how the county can say, we don't like it. It's a state statute that says that it's already
I guess we'll have to deal with them on that. We have one property left in that area, and that would be the Pizza Pit property. There is no other town property until you get up to Maple Court that belongs in the town of Lake Mills. The rest of that has already been
I'm
annexed.
just going by the map that Steve Wilkie gave me. He gave me a map, and I can give it to you guys, so you guys got the same map, but it shows highlighted in red everything that's the city, and it shows
And
that
did he
roadway.
express to you how he felt about ATV traffic on County Highway V?
Well, I assume when he said you guys can put your sign up right here, I showed him the pictures, and he said, yep, that post will be acceptable, that he was for it. I talked to the owners of BP and Quick Trip and Culver's and the market, and they're all for bringing business in.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
So I don't know why we wouldn't want to extend our, let them have the business come into their places. I mean, the state statute states that the roads are acceptable. I don't know where we say it's not.
Well, I think you're gonna reach some resistance with the county. We're going to have some resistance from the county. And I talked to Brian today about, have they formalized any of this? And they have not. And so I'm just gonna say, figure it out.
You can, by statute, you can travel on those roads. Doesn't mean they have to be signed, right? I mean, it's in the statute. All- Right, all you have to do is put the signs up, entering the town of Lake Mills and leaving the town of Lake Mills.
So I don't have to put any signs up
Well,
on
other than
the
the,
roads?
other than the speed limit signs, because we
I don't think they're gonna allow you to put any signs on county roads.
don't have to.
As long
I just
as
said,
the
you know-
township roads and the ordinance
Yeah.
states, and the statute states that 35 and under, that people should be able to travel with them.
That's the way I feel about it.
All right, just so you understand the parameters.
So if somebody's traveling to Quick Trip and they stop before the city limits there, they're doable?
Yeah, that's what the state statute reads. There isn't much I can enforce on that.
I think you have a bigger issue with the county as you go
I
forward.
think a deputy may look at it differently, but it's state statute, so it wouldn't be anything you could issue on them, so.
Until the county adopts a policy on those county highways that are close to urban areas like ours, that I guess you're gonna do whatever you're gonna do. But all I want you to understand is, all those signs are gonna go out. They're all gonna be inventoried. When you're done, you're gonna let me know where they all are, and then we're gonna make that all happen.
He's got that.
So we do
We
have
got
a
a
map.
map. Yeah, we have already.
We got the map already that says where they're all going, and they're all following the new regulations for
Are they going on our
reflectivity.
posts, or are they going on your posts?
I guess we'd have to look at them.
That's what I want you
He's
to
got his
do.
own posts and stuff with the club. The club's helping with all this, we're not part of the club.
Right.
But they're assisting with it, so, and they've done it all the way from here to Lomira. So, I mean, we're following state codes and everything with it.
I just wanna know where they're going,
Yeah.
whose posts they're on, what their reflectivity is, so we can keep track of that, because it'll become part of our sign program
So we can start putting them up as of when.
as soon as you figure out where they are, and what posts they're going on.
Okay.
Well, you have the map, and that's
Yeah,
what you
yes.
asked.
We have it already, so, yeah.
Give her a copy of the map tonight.
And tell me which posts are you using? Are you using your own posts, using town posts? You'll figure that out,
Planning on using the town ones.
Correct, yeah.
all right?
So I guess I'll have to have Jim and Dave work with me on it, since they
Yeah.
were sponsoring it.
Last year.
If that's what you want.
Just want to make sure we know what's what, okay?
Yes, please.
I do think there's going to be conflict on County Highway V. I do think there will be conflict.
And I think, Kurt, that whenever possible, you should use an existing sign.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
We don't want to call the hotline.
Yeah.
Use something that's there already.
It'll keep it simple for you.
And they're quite small.
Yeah.
And they'll be new, they'll have good reflectivity, but then we'll track that.
If you go through town of Waterloo, you can see what they look like, the size, reflectivity, they're already posted up there.
Town of Jefferson, they've been out there.
If you guys want to see one, we have them here in the truck.
No, I think you've given us plenty of visuals.
I only have one question on this sign here. Is that a legal sign?
Legal?
Is it legal? It is. I thought that it was not legal. You want to look in the statute and make sure that, I'm just questioning it. Because what I read in the ATV safety regulations, the state's publication, that's not a legal sign anymore. It has to state no ATVs beyond this point.
So end of route, the end of route one will say end of road on it,
The one with the circle with,
right? You said that the sign would say
That's on state highway.
state highways, okay, so.
is it only state highways?
What's that?
No, anyway, in the state's ATV safety
Yeah.
and all the regulations on these signs, I thought I read that one was not legal anymore. And that would be in that act that was just passed a couple of years ago, that Act 97 or 87, whatever it was.
87 and 193 were
Yeah.
two acts. One speed limit.
Just check it.
Yep. If they did change it, we'll have to change the signs, of course.
Were you involved with doing Waterloo signs and Milford signs?
There's no signs in Milford yet, but I did Waterloo, I did all 3/4 of Dodge County.
Okay, because Milford, they've passed their ordinance,
They have,
so they're traveling now.
no,
They're not until you get it signed. But Kurt and I had talked a little bit about it because we do have a lot of intersecting roads. Fayetteville Road is one of them, Weber Road, where that's gonna be Town of Lake Mills, Town of Milford, Town of Waterloo. So they're, instead of, at the beginning of the town, it'd be the beginning of the road, is my thought, so.
And that's how I marked it, where it comes off A on the Weber Road.
Okay.
The green sign is our sign that states, as it was on the back, that the township has ATV, UTV routes.
Sure. In North Shore, that's another road.
Yep, so every place that there's a green, so, Weber Road, is it Mansky?
Yeah, Mansky.
Mansky Road.
Mansky, North Shore, Rock Lake Road, Newville Road, and the one by Sharon Airport Road. All the way across the top, those all have the green signs, the big ones that say, when you're entering the town, that say that the town of Lake Mills has ATV, UTV routes.
Right.
Any sign that you post along County Highway V belongs to the county. So you darn well better get permission before you do that.
They said I won't post them. The statute says it's okay. we
That's
won't
all I'm
post
saying
them.
is, if you're gonna post a sign there, you better have permission from the county.
Yeah.
All right, discussion and a decision. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the sign locations with the requirements that when they get all up, you notify the town that they're ready to be inspected for reflectivity and inventory by the county.
Second.
All right, is any more discussion?
One thing though, if the reflectivity is low, 2 years, 5 years, then you guys were still gonna replace that sign, correct?
Yeah, it said
Then
in
we'll
the
just
ord-
get-
It said in the ordinance that they take care of the maintenance. on it.
Right, yeah, we'll just get
Maintenance.
notified by the county and then
Yep.
you guys can then be notified and take care of it, so.
Yeah, or if we have a sign that's damaged or gets run over or whatever, then we, assess what's happened and then you'll be hearing from us. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Thank you, gentlemen, I do appreciate your work. Item B, discussion and decision on Town Ordinance 5-14, Planning Commission Amendment to change the monthly Town Planning Commission meeting time from 8 PM to 7 PM. Hearing from you, Jim, I guess we probably should have a different motion on this and
Different tests.
different
Text. Yeah.
text.
Do you have the minutes of the plan commission? I do not.
I don't have them with me.
No.
I had it wrote down.
Thank you, guys.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion that ordinance 514, Plan Commission ordinance, item 3, under A, meetings, I, it says regular Plan Commission meetings will be held on the first Tuesday of every month at time to be determined by Plan Commission and shall be open to the public.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Do you have that written down, Robin? Okay.
The one comment I would have is who's going to be the one communicating what that time's going to be to me? I know it should be the chairperson.
Chairperson, Steve Mass.
A lot of times I end up putting the agenda together for him and then forwarding a draft to him. I guess that I'm a little concerned about if it's constantly changing,
Well-
that it's gonna get confusing, but
Why don't we
that's
put it, well, it'll be in the minutes,
of the,
planning commission minutes of that
Okay.
meeting. We'll state next meeting's times, okay?
okay,
I'll have
Yeah.
Steve do that.
That's what we do at the fire commission meetings.
that would help, yes.
But more than likely, you're probably going to be, December, January, February, March is possibly gonna be like 7.
Yeah.
And the rest of the year probably 8, so it's not gonna be
Right,
up and down.
No.
It's just gonna be seasonal.
correct.
You
Because
know,
I have to be
July,
able to
August.
communicate it to applicants that come in accurately, so they're showing up at the right time.
Right, yeah,
So,
yeah, I know. It's
That's
I
why
guess-
consistency
Not
helps,
consistent,
but,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm not real happy with the inconsistency, but at the same time, I think that we should allow them to figure this out and work through this and see how it goes.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, we can always change it again.
There are several
Yeah.
appointments on the planning commission that are coming up for review in April, so, you know, if you don't like getting up and going to work, then
I don't like getting up,
I don't either.
some days anyway.
Okay, so,
You have a motion and a second.
we have a motion and a second. What are we gonna do? All in favor of approving the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. So we're gonna let the planning commission determine its own start time, mostly seasonal. We'll see how it goes.
So I'll update this draft and we'll bring it back for a public hearing next month.
Yes, we
and
need a
then
public
for
hearing.
adoption, so.
All right, item C, discussion and decision on the 2019 budget amendments. I'm not approving those amendments tonight, are we?
Why not?
Okay. And Jim, I appreciate you doing the work on that.
Just want to make a couple of things that stood out in the budget is that public safety, we were over $52,740. And debt payment, we were over $67,667. Now, I don't know where that money's, and the only saving thing was that in the 2019, we had, excuse me, had a lot more revenue than we anticipated, which helped offset a lot of this. And the $100,000 cash applied to the budget in 2019 helped out. But we still were over $745.14. So we can approve the amendments, but I think we got to really sit down as a board and look at why that happened, especially in the debt payment and public safety. Those are two big items. And I think it's going to affect the road budget in 2020.
Certainly.
That's huge. We're not gonna be able to do anything,
That's right.
pretty much.
Emergency
We're going to have
stuff.
to get this
Yeah.
money back somehow. So, anyway, those are my comments.
I agree. Okay, how do you want to go ahead?
Did you print them out? I don't have them. copied,
I don't have
So
them.
just go through each one.
I thought I gave you.
You
guys
did, I don't
copies
have
of-
mine either.
Cause I
never
gave
got-
you a great big packet of stuff several weeks ago.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
you did last month, yeah. Sorry, I didn't grab it.
Okay. I do have them all typed up, that's why I had given.
You didn't give me any, because I probably gave it to you, so I didn't get it back.
Okay, so do you wanna bring it back then next month?
Yeah, let's wait until next
I thought I put
month.
copies of all of it in your guys' bins.
You emailed them to us.
I gave you hard copies too, and it was several weeks ago. It was right after you had given them
Right,
to me.
right.
So you guys had time to look at them.
Yeah, I know, yeah, I got it.
Let's leave the
I
budget
don't even look at it
amendments to
tonight.
March, okay?
Okay,
I do appreciate you going over that, Jim, and I do understand where we're at with that.
okay. So we'll put that on for March.
Put that on for March. Item D, discussion and decision on posting notice for requests for proposals for the placement of down buoys and swim ropes. I don't know if you guys know, we do have some problems at Ferry Park with our pier that's next on our agenda. But I did put together a bidding document. I thought it was time we looked at this again. to notice bids to remove and install the 2 piers, the 24 buoys, and the swim ropes. So I put together a bidding document with some dates that we would be opening the bids on at our next town board meeting, and that the bids would then be here in our,
Opening bids will be Tuesday, March 10th, 2020, at the regular meeting.
didn't I give them a time to have the
Meeting
bid
at
back?
7 PM, by 5 o'clock up at the top.
Yeah,
Monday,
up at the
March
top.
9th.
I just think it's time we rebid this, and looked at how it's getting done and how accurately it is being maintained. And how well and how completely the buoys are being stored and maintained. And I think that's kind of what my goal is here. I didn't think we'd lose any ground if we put this out for bid and looked at this in March. So I would make a motion to let notice of bidding go for the installation and removal of our 2 piers at Ferry Park and Elm Point, 24 buoys, and a set of swim ropes in the town of Lake Mills.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
You have a list of people you're gonna,
Well, I said
I
we
left
did,
it up to you, but you have people in mind, you don't have to say who they are.
I think we should let our current contractor know. I let Robin know that, and I think we should publish this.
Okay. Publish it in.
I think you should
paper?
publish it on the website, and I think you should publish it in the newspaper.
Okay.
So if we don't get any bids, we're going to then have to approach someone, I'm assuming?
Yes, yes. I think we will get bids, though.
I would like to hope so.
If you feel the need to forward this to someone, you have it, you can do
Yeah.
that. That would be helpful.
Okay.
All right?
Call the question.
Yeah. All in favor of approving the letting of bids for the placement of buoys and swim ropes, please say aye. Aye, and all opposed, the same side. Now, a discussion and decision on the Ferry Park Pier repair. You know, we purchased a new pier for Ferry Park. It's one of those piers that gets pulled in and out of the water. Last summer, it had some major damage. Someone crashed into it, took the wheel off of it. I have been in communication with Mr. Grzinski about that. He's taken it apart, and he is at this time looking at repair and replacement of the wheel that got knocked off. I wasn't sure when I put the agenda together of where this would actually be at. But I expect that we will have some expense to finish that up, and I was hoping that we could have that all put together before boating season begins. You guys have any time to take a look at it, you could certainly take a look at it. The pier seems to be holding up fine. It's just that people keep crashing into it.
So it's crashed into in the water or on, in the water?
In the water. In the water, and we boosted it up as best we could. So take a look at that. Really no need for a decision at this time until we see what the expense is going to be. Item F, board expense sheet approval. Looks like everybody's got something.
Postage and mileage. Sharon's got it.
I'll pass these down.
No, and mine, there is a cost for a hinge. Jeremy, my boyfriend, had gone down to get some sand out of the sand bin, and it wasn't fixed yet. So he fixed it and put a hinge on for us.
Thanks.
That's excellent.
I used it the other day, it worked out pretty good. I don't know who put those big concrete bunkers down there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jason probably.
Jeremy did say that the other hinge probably will be needing to be replaced as well, but he didn't have the time.
Salt and sand does a big number on that.
Yeah.
Okay, item 11, correspondence. I know you're gonna love to read this, Rob.
All right, so we have a letter from Alexandra Lovejoy regarding Deer Lake Road, as they refer to it. Would you like me to read the entire letter?
I read it.
I read it.
Read it several times.
Okay.
Okay. And
It's regarding the snow plowing or lack thereof on that stretch of road. She's claiming that that stretch of road is a town road because she did find a certified survey map that says it's deeded to the town of Lake Mills.
She's incorrect there. Well,
That's deeded.
yeah, she's correct there. It's deeded. But it has never been dedicated, and we never accepted it.
Got it.
Other
I
than, and not to interrupt you there, Jim,
I
but
went down to the county, and I got this other document. I don't know, can we discuss this now, or? We gotta put it
yeah,
on
no,
a-
yeah, it's a
I
good
think we
question.
should put the discussion of this off and at
Yeah.
least invite her to come here and talk with us.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
You know,
put it
I've
on the
gone to
next
bat with
meeting.
her with the town of Lake Mill, or in the town of Lake Mills, and drafted that letter, and I also went to the town of Deerfield and tried to reason with them. And there seems to be no reasonable way to go about this. I think we should at least give her the opportunity to come before us, and we can discuss it.
Yep.
We know where we stand on it, which is why we drafted the letter to her last fall.
Okay, so we'll put it on the March agenda then?
Yes,
And then I'll notify her and ask her to be at the meeting?
I think
Yeah.
that would be prudent.
Meanwhile, Jim, did we want to get this deeded all to the town of Deerfield so we don't have to?
Well, they
Work
put
with
the
it.
sign up, you know.
I don't think we can discuss that now. We'll wait
Thank
till
you.
March. We'll talk about this in March.
All right, item 12, meeting scheduled. March 3rd is the Joint Rock Lake Committee at 6 PM. Also, the Planning Commission at 7 or 8, time to be determined.
It'll still be eight next week.
March 10th, Town Board meeting at 8 PM.
Is it 8 or 7?
No, it should be-
7, I'm sorry,
At
I'm
the time
sorry.
this was put up, it was still 8, so.
To be determined by the board. Also, following the direction of the planning committee, I have scheduled a meeting with the city manager on 2/24 at 2 PM. Now, you can send me a loan to that, or you can join me. I think that you should post that accordingly, Robin, in case either one of you
What
would.
time, Matt?
2 PM.
What's the subject matter?
Yeah.
I told him that I would create an agenda. I think that we have several shared things that we need to look at.
That does need to be part of the posting.
The
It's a
agenda.
Some type of summary of what.
So I'll
it's
have to have
gonna
that agenda to you by when?
be. And do you think you can put it together?
I can't make it that day. I got 2 doctor appointments.
Okay.
It's unfortunate. Otherwise, I would attend with you, but.
I think I'll just go alone. Unless you're free, Dave.
If you do go alone, then it would not need to be posted.
Right, exactly. And what I'd like to discuss with him is the future of ETC and our boundary agreement and how he wants to go forward with that. I think we need to look at Mud Lake Road and the schedule that they have put together for that. Still grinding the axe of Sandy Beach, and on and on and on and on and on. Whatever other items that he decides he wants to put forward. I guess, is it okay if I go alone? Would you like me to take someone with me? What would you like to do?
Well, a couple of those subjects, because they're gonna have Mud Lake Road until you come up to the fence line there. The first fence line you come to, so that's gonna be theirs. So there's really no discussion for us there, is it? And Sandy Beach, we have a little portion of Sandy Beach Road. The rest is all the city, so what do we have?
I guess I'm
there?
talking about road construction and road planning. You know, Mud Lake Road has been on our road plan for a long time. Guess I'd like to know what they're planning and what they're gonna do. There is a scale of economy there. I guess we need to sit down and talk about what we're planning in the next 3 to 5 years. Certainly, we're not doing a lot of road work this year. We understand that, but we need to lay down some tracks for what's gonna go down in the next 2 to 5 years. Pretty hard to plan for without thinking about how we're gonna do it, you know? any other topics. Of course, there's this EMS and EMT thing going on. I think there's so many topics that we need to cover, but I think we need to get started, especially with where we're gonna go as far as ETC and our boundary agreement. So that's where I'm gonna start.
First, we have the election February 18th.
Yes, February 18th, and you wanna give any details on that?
It's just another election.
Polls are open from
From 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
7 to 8, and
People can still request absentees. The information is on the website, but I encourage people to use the myvote.wi.gov website as well, because it gives a lot of good information. It's accurate. There's no guessing at it, so
pretty easy to use.
it's very easy to
And you
use.
have good poll workers for that day?
It's a little slim. There's some that can't work, but it being in that smaller election, I think we should be okay. We'll get by, so.
All right. Item 13, a motion to convene into closed session under Wisconsin statute 19.85, 1G, for the reason of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to be involved. The town board will be adjourning at the end of the closed session. Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion on the motion?
Who's going to be in the closed session?
Mr. Leverton? Town board,
Okay.
clerk and treasurer.
All right. Meeting is temporarily adjourned. The town board will now go into closed session and will adjourn at the end of our meeting. Thank you.